Hi, I'm Noelle. I wanted to talk a little bit about some aspects of the grounding session that I just rehearsed with my client. One of the questions that I had was, how do you determine the appropriate amount of information to share with your client prior to the session? For example, what is the purpose? What the expectations are, why it's considered to be effective, and how much information is too much, where they just stop listening, or possibly develop higher expectations than what you're able to provide as a clinician, um, and just getting them to buy into this technique. Another point that I wanted to discuss is the use of scaling questions. In the beginning, I asked Erica how she was feeling, to rate her negative feelings on a scale of 1 to 10, and then to do the same following the rehearsal. I think in doing this, it's a good way to gauge how effective the client feels that the technique is. However, I think it's easy to to become discouraged in that if they rated their negative feelings at a 7 and after the grounding it's still at a 7, where do you go from there? So that was another question that I had. Typically, what I would do is just encourage them to continue to practice it. Practice makes perfect, and just to find which of the three styles has the most impact on their emotional state, their mood, their cravings. But it's definitely something that I think about a lot with my clients. Something positive that I found about this intervention is that it can be utilized in a group session, or it can also be utilized in an individual setting. And there's opportunity for the client to go out and rehearse it and use it in those high-risk situations and then come back and report it. And I think that's the key with a cognitive behavioral therapeutic approach, is that they learn the skill, they learn what's behind the skill, why it's effective, they rehearse the skill, they may see it demonstrated, and then they go out and practice and return and report on any barriers or any progress in relation to that. So I think excuse me, I think there is the benefit of CBT, is that it's ongoing. It's not just what you do in the session, it's what does the client take away from that session and go out and practice, and then what do they learn? What can they report back to you that, this worked, this didn't work, here's what I found. Another thing that I found really effective when utilizing a CBT approach or technique or intervention is that the client's able to go out and rehearse things and just having them jot down, here's what I was feeling before, during, and after a panic attack, before, during, and after I used a substance that I'm trying to abstain from, before, during, and after a conflict with someone. So whatever it is that they're trying to work on, recognizing what was I feeling before, what were my thoughts, what was my attitude, and then what was the behavior, what did I decide to do? Did that work? Did that not work? And I think coming back and processing that, they're able to grow from that experience. So, I'm sorry. So my thoughts are just, how much information is too much information? When is it going to be overload? Because I want them to be aware of why we do the things that we do, or why we ask them or present them with the homework assignments that we present them with, but also not to have expectations that are, up here, when maybe that approach isn't going to be as effective as something else. And I think, in addition to using the scaling questions before and after, what else can we use to kind of gauge that and say, okay, this isn't working, let's move on. And in being client-centered and having a strengths-based approach, I don't want to give up on my client and scratch something that maybe we just didn't work hard enough.